There are approximately 12.35 million people employed in the restaurant and food service industry. Chances are good that most of those people, at one time or another, dreamed of owning a successful restaurant. Their Restaurateur's Dream leads us to ask, what is the most important factor in determining long-term viability of a restaurant? Is it food, service, or location?
Welcome to the award-winning Food Chain Radio Show with your host, Michael Olson. And now get ready for 1 hour of What's Eating What Radio.
Hello out there. You are tuned into the 1408th edition of the Food Chain Radio podcast. Or hey, perhaps you're among our friends over there in Paris who are tuned in as we stream along on the Food Chain page at metrofarm.com. Well, whoever you are and wherever you are, welcome aboard. I am Michael Olson, your host this hour of What's Eating What. Folks, I often get queries from public relations folks who want me to host a restaurant-related food show for one of their clients. One such query suggested that I host an expert in restaurant franchises who was touting a new restaurant called the Ford Garage. Unable to see myself eating a meal in a Ford Garage or even a Chevy Garage, I asked, "Did you say the Ford Garage?" "Well, yes," I was told. "Just think about all the people who were raised with Ford automobiles. Why, every one of them will be a natural customer of a Ford Garage restaurant." "No, thank you," I said. But not too long after that, I found myself eating lunch at an Erik's DeliCafe, which is a relatively small chain serving the San Francisco and Monterey Bay areas. In fact, I have been eating at Erik's DeliCafe for years without even thinking about it. So I thought about it and asked myself the following question. What is the most important factor in determining the long-term viability of a restaurant like Erik's DeliCafe? Is it the food? Is it the service? Or is it the location? Well, who better to ask than the father and son team that own and operate Erik's DeliCafe? Erick and Brian Johnson. Erick, welcome to the Food Chain.
Thank you, Michael. Good to be here.
Brian, welcome there.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for having us.
Good. Father, son, do you ever argue?
No. Of course, we probably argue right now whether we argue.
He just ignores me, so no argument.
He doesn't listen to me, so no. I say that with a smile.
I don't know how you could run a business without with somebody else without arguing or discussing things. So you must have a way of quickly resolving those issues that divide you.
Well, when issues divide us necessarily, I think it's just a different approach over the years. It's been honed over, 15
Sure.
years. But, to use a saying my father likes to use, I'm sure I could write a book on the father-son dynamic when it comes to businesses and especially the food industry. But, it was just
I think
a
you
number of
should.
years.
And I've learned to compromise, move on, and defer to Brian and his team, and it seems to work.
Good. Well, every good restaurant story has a good beginning, I think. So I'd like to hear about the beginning of Erik's DeliCafe from Brian, who wasn't there when it started, but who I'll bet has heard the story. So Brian, how did Erik's begin?
From what I was told, it was back in 1973. Erik, my father, was settled in Santa Cruz after spending some time up in San Francisco, I believe in the late 60s. Came down here, started as a real estate agent. I think worked through that and found his passion maybe was elsewhere. Always wanted to be his own boss and own his own business. And I think was on the lookout for a place and came across a spot in Scotts Valley. Opened that on September 17th, 1973. And then from there, I was born, 8 years later, or 7 years in 81. So child number 2, as I like to joke. But I think the story itself should come from the man himself, Erik.
You're going to defer.
I am going to defer a little bit because I think his telling and the passion behind the soups and things like that, I don't do it justice.
Okay. Well, it's a great story about him borrowing the money from his dad. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, you want me to jump in and
Sure.
start?
Sure.
I like that, Brian, a second child. I guess it has been that first child. Yeah, what happened, like Brian was saying, came down from San Francisco, was in the real estate business, wasn't really making any money, didn't
Just
enjoy it.
before you proceed, San Francisco in the 60s?
Michael, I lived 3 doors up from the corner of Haight and Ashbury.
I wonder.
69, 70, 71,
Ooh.
72. It was rock and roll time, yeah. So it was a lot going on. So that was the, and when I came to Santa Cruz, and after I got out of the real estate business, I was able to kind of grow my hair back, and the beard and the big afro and all that stuff. So Birkenstocks. But anyway, getting back to how we started, Brian said I was trying to get in and do my own thing. And my dad said, you're working all the time. Why don't you get into your own business? I said, okay. So I came across this little place up in Scotts Valley in Kings Village Shopping Center, and walked in, and this lady said, I'd heard your business is for sale. Somebody had referred me up to them. She said, yes, I want to get out of here. I don't want to do this anymore. And I said, well, I think I'll buy it. I've been looking around for like a bookstore, a natural food store, just to get into my own business. And this turned out to be really inexpensive. So, mentioned it to her, and she said, okay. I said, how much do you want for it? And she said, well, just my inventory. And if you'll take over an existing note that I have with a friend of mine so I could buy some equipment, $3,300. Just sign your name. So the only cash I had to come up with was her inventory. So that was Thursday, and Sunday we did an inventory. And then on Monday, I drove back up there, my little Clementine orange VW with my coat and tie, and I'm still in the real estate business. I walked in around 11:30, and I said, hi, Barbara, how's it going? And she says, well, you're not good. I just don't want to do this anymore. And I said, well, we're going to do a 45-day escrow. I need to learn the business and transition into the food business from the real estate business. And she said, no, I'm out of here. I just don't want to do this anymore. So she literally walked out the door, and I turned around. There was one employee working, and I said, what's your name? And she said, Susie. And I said, well, Susie, I think I own this business. So don't you get kind of busy during lunch, because they make sandwiches and stuff like that? And she said, oh, yeah. And I said, well, give me one of those little white aprons, and let's rock and roll and go for it. So she taught me how to make sandwiches, and turned out that my folks were very good at, my dad would make soups for the DeliCafe, and my mom would make carrot cakes and stuff. And so away I went in the business. And so if you look at my license plates, do you know what the SV429? I put those on there a long time ago. No, nobody really.
In Eric's?
It's my license plates say SV429.
Scotts Valley 429.
Mm-hmm.
That's how much money you borrowed.
That's how much cash I had to come up with. That was her inventory.
Oh, okay.
I probably borrowed it from my dad. So away I went. And that's literally how we started. But, once again, I was able to start small and not make any fatal mistakes. I could make mistakes and learn from them, and then interact with my customers who helped grow the business. And so that was the advantage of starting small. It's only 600 square feet. It was 10 feet wide.
Do you remember your first sale?
It probably was a donut in the morning. We sold donuts. We opened at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
O'Farrell's Donuts.
Okay.
That was probably the first sale, first lunch. The first sandwich, who knows? Maybe it was a turkey sandwich or roast beef sandwich.
Okay.
Oh, a cheese sandwich. That's right. A friend of mine came in, and I cut him a big chunk of cheese off the slicer, about an inch thick. He could barely eat it. I didn't know what I was doing, so he took it home with him. Anyway,
Had a good deal.
A long time ago.
Well, good. And a long time ago. And boy, I was just in my junior year at UCSC at that time. So San Francisco must have had an impact on how you made sandwiches. It was the times.
That's interesting, because I never thought about that before. I don't think it had an impact necessarily on me going to the business. To answer your question, to get back to making sandwiches or coming up with the ingredients for sandwiches. But what we did, one of the things I just reflecting on that was that sprouts.
Sprouts, exactly.
I decided that we would put sprouts in the sandwiches, because before they were putting lettuce, iceberg lettuce. They said, there's not a lot of nutritional value in iceberg lettuce, so let's go to Sprouts. They have good nutritional value as far as vitamin A and stuff, so that made sense. And then we were giving like a bag of chips with every sandwich. I said, let's give a pickle and an orange, a little healthier. And so you're right, it did probably have an influence on me.
It was almost healthy.
Yeah.
I mean, it was much different than any other quick service restaurant. You had Sprouts. You still have Sprouts.
Yeah,
I watched a guy just yesterday when I was at lunch at Eric's, and he was across the way there, and he had a big, beautiful sandwich, and it was just packed with Sprouts. And he took that sandwich in two hands and bit into it, and you could just see happiness. But it's no longer really health food. It's more like it's wholesome food.
Wholesome food. I didn't really start out to necessarily be a health nut as far as whatever, organic, but it turned out to be that way because I was eating in the restaurant myself. I wanted to eat healthy, and so that was, gravitated towards more healthy and nutritional type foods. And, I'm working with my customers every day, and I didn't want to do anything that was not going to be healthy for them, so to speak. So,
Right. And so that lasted. One other thing, DeliCafe. Now, did you invent that term? Aha. Why did you invent it? What does it mean?
There's hours of stories behind each one of these questions, Michael.
Of course there
Let me
are.
give you the brief. Okay, so we started out as Erik's Deli. And so we went to, in 1979, we started to grow. We went over to Los Gatos. And I said, you know what? Erik's Deli, they're probably thinking sliced meats and cheeses. And we eliminated that portion of the business, went strictly to sandwiches. So I said, people are going to think it's a place you can come in for meats and cheeses, sliced meats and cheeses or whatever. And so I decided to change the name to Erik's DeliCafe, cafe atmosphere, serving deli types of food. And so
there's only one other DeliCafe in the United States, as far as I could see. I looked, did a search for DeliCafe, could only find one other one. I think it's someplace in the South. But you're the only one around here on the West Coast.
I tried to trademark it, but they wouldn't let me trademark just the word DeliCafe. They thought the trademark office thought it was too generic of a term. I could use Erik's DeliCafe and trademark that, but not just the word DeliCafe.
Well, you didn't need to because there aren't any.
Well, good point. But we're awful proud of that. That word, cafe atmosphere, serving deli types of food is the whole meaning.
Which makes you unique.
Yeah, I hope so, yeah. That would be our goal, too, to always be unique, a little different.
Well, it is, and it works.
Got so many stories, Michael. When I talk to people, I get really passionate about, I can talk about the significance of that pickle or the significance of the difference between alfalfa sprouts and clover sprouts. But see, that pickle, briefly, years ago, I went over to the pickle plant over in Stockton. And I talked to the guy, and I said, the process, all refrigerated, the rabbi blesses them and all that stuff. I said, hey, what happens during this winter when you can't grow cucumbers? Oh, we get them from Mexico. I fly down there and supervise the picking of the pickles, and they would put them in a refrigerated truck, come back to my plant in Stockton. The ideal pickle is 6 inches for flavor and stuff. It's not just a pickle. See the stories behind that?
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Food Chain Radio program. Michael Olson, your host, with Erick and Brian Johnson. They are the proprietors and owners of Erik's DeliCafe, serving the San Francisco and Monterey Bay areas with fresh, wholesome food. And when we come back, we're going to learn how they grew that business into a franchise opportunity that everybody can participate in one way or another. You can eat there. You can even own it if you want. This is the Food Chain. We will be right back after these short messages. Do stay tuned.
I've crossed the Yukon, swam the Mississippi, and I've been a contractor for 84 years. We've all heard plenty of that malarkey. Hi, folks. Warren Knox here of Knox Roofing. Integrity in this world is hard to find. Our number one reason for continued success here at Knox Roofing is our referral and repeat business. Our warranties are real. For most of our customers, it's for the rest of their life. Okay, give Knox Roofing a call anytime. 461-0634. Thanks, folks.
The wife says the boat's got to go, no problem. Stored at Anbar Self-Storage in U-Haul, easy off Highway 1 by the airport. 24-hour security for cars, boats, and RVs. Stored away at Anbar Self-Storage in U-Haul in Freedom.
You made the products, now you have to deliver. Anbar Self-Storage and U-Haul has the moving vans, shipping boxes, and packing materials you need to deliver them. Easy off Highway 1 on Airport Boulevard by the airport. Anbar Self-Storage and U-Haul in Freedom.
Get hooked up with affordable cannabis at your neighborhood Hook Outlet dispensary. We have locations in Santa Cruz, Capitola, and Watsonville. At each Hook Outlet, you will find unmatched low prices on the Hook's unparalleled selection of top-quality medical and recreational cannabis flower, vapes, drinks, gummies, and concentrates. The Hook Outlets are Santa Cruz County's best source for the finest cannabis at the lowest prices. See for yourself. Stop by any Hook Outlet and say hi. We'll see you there. HookOutlet.com.
Attention content producers. You can have access to a complete digital media production facility at Satellite Co-working and Digital Media Studio on SoCal Avenue. Easily rent video and audio equipment, a studio with green screen, editing suite, and audio booth, all at can't say no rates. Schedule a tour to see for yourself at satellitecoworking.com. Mention Santa Cruz Voice for 20% off your first reservation.
Bring happiness into your holiday with a fresh and fragrant Lions Club Christmas tree. When you light up the tree, your family's smile will last into January. Pick up your tree from the Lions Club lot at the Portuguese Hall near Costco. 2 to 7 weekdays, 10 to 7 weekends, while they last. Bring happiness into your holiday with a fresh and fragrant Lions Club Christmas tree. All proceeds go to helping those in need in Santa Cruz.
Opens day after Thanksgiving.
Satisfy your hunger with a fresh, prepared, twice-daily grab-and-go sushi you'll find waiting for you at Sushi Market Sprouts, 2 blocks from the beach at 300 7th Avenue in Santa Cruz. Fresh, delicious, and oh so good.
Hello, I'm Junko, and I look forward to serving you at the Sushi Market Sprouts.
Satisfy your hunger right now with the delicious ramen and sushi you'll find waiting for you at Kaito. Easy in and out location in the Capitola Mall food court. Special orders welcome. Fresh, delicious, and oh so good.
This is Koji. I'm looking forward to seeing you at my restaurant, Kaito.
Let's go back for more of What's Eating What on the Food Chain with Michael Olson.
What is the factor that's most important in determining the long-term viability of a restaurant? Erick and Brian Johnson, in serving the San Francisco and Monterey Bay areas. How long have you been in business, Erick?
Over 52 years.
Over 52 years. Mm-hmm. So you must have an answer. What is the most important thing? And I'll ask Brian, too, see if we can get a consensus here. Is it the food? Is it the service? Is it the location?
Now, that's a big question.
It's a mean question.
I've thought about that a lot over the years. And Judy, my wife, and Brian's mom, why are we here?
52 years.
Well, yeah, I look back at all the trials and errors and everything else. And then I look at the delis. I get some really positive customer feedback from. I was in your San Ramon DeliCafe, or I was in your San Jose DeliCafe, and the people were so nice and everything. So it gets back to the bottom line. When you look at service and you look at the employees and you look at the hiring process or the training process, total customer awareness into the customer 100% of the time, all the time. And I think that shows in our employees when how they interact with our customers. We get everybody's first name so we can find you when you're out there in the DeliCafe eating, but it gets a bond between the customer and the employees. So I think one of the most important things is just being totally customer oriented. It's not about, it's sort of where you draw the line. In other words, I really don't want to do this, but it's best for the customer, so I'm going to do this. I don't want to work an extra 2 hours, but people are hungry, they want to come in, I'm going to serve them. Being so into that customer, and sometimes, it's not easy because you sacrifice a lot of your own,
your
own self, so to speak. So, but then location obviously is important, but some of our locations starting out, Scotts Valley, Aptos, Los Gatos, they're in the back of the shopping center. But I figure we can create our own environment back there, quieter and that kind of thing. And so, and then, you look at the quality of the food, and I got to throw in my, I did this about, probably 20, 25 years ago. We started to grow more from going to Scotts Valley, Capitola to Aptos. Why are we successful? What are our uncompromising values that we will not compromise at all? And I came up, I'd ask you, Michael, you said, I went to the DeliCafe. I really like the atmosphere. I like the food. So I came up with 4 words of why we're successful.
And they are?
Okay. Consistency. Got to be
True.
consistent wherever you go.
For all the years I've been eating at your place, it's always consistent.
Bingo. Quality. Don't cut your quality, raise your price, my dad would say. If you're not making money, don't cut your quality, raise your price. Okay?
Yeah.
C, Q, and then S, service. That customer and employee interaction. It's so important to us.
Okay.
And what's the I, Michael?
Idea. I don't know.
The most important one in a lot of ways, the one that keeps it all together, the reason I'm still sitting here and Brian's still working here. What could that possibly be in one letter, I? Truth
I'm supposed to be the guy asking the question. Do you notice how he turned this on?
Truth in menu. If in doubt, throw out. Don't experiment with your customers. I've thrown out thousands of dollars worth of food because I wasn't quite sure it was kept at the right temperature. On and on and on. What would that I possibly? Not income.
Oh.
Not income. There's no I or P. P isn't. There's no P for profit in there. The I is not income.
Okay, it would have to be something relating to truthfulness or integrity.
You got it.
Integrity.
Bingo. Integrity. That's what puts it all together.
Okay, so which is the most important of all of those?
Well,
4
integrity
things?
keeps you consistent, keeps the quality up, and the service where it should be.
Okay.
It can all filter back into those, I think.
That was a good answer. Brian, which do you think is the most important?
It's hard to disagree with that. I like how that integrity, ties it together, but I think it all comes together. It's all, I don't think you can have one without the other. Going back to your question for us, food and service, I think they're hand in hand. It starts with the food, and, here at Erik's, my team, we're proud of the food we serve, and I think that trickles into the service. We're eating the food on a regular basis, and I think if you have those two components, that's where it's at. I certainly understand location, but as Erik said, with some of our locations, in back of centers and are still doing well, but I think you nail on that food and that service, and that's been set by Erik, and when we were founded, trickles down through a lot of our franchisees today that have been with Erik's for decades, new people coming aboard, so on and so forth, and I think that it's kind of the ticket. It's easier said than done. I joke about that a lot. The food service, you think you can just do it, but it's a lot of work goes into it and a lot of time. And
do you think a franchise that calls itself the Ford Garage could possibly be made to work?
If you had the food and the service, yes.
You actually think?
I'm a firm believer in that. I think I think if you create that environment, I think you could. Hey, you got me thinking of a Ford Garage. Maybe we'll talk on the side. I might have a new franchise going. No, I truly believe that. I think it's the food and the service, and it's so easy to get lost in the technology, get lost in the, what can we do to cut costs? What can we do, on that standpoint without looking at those, those two.
Well, I think what
foundational
keeps
pieces.
me coming back is the same thing that keeps that gentleman I watched eat a sandwich yesterday coming back, and it's the food. I think the food works.
Thank you.
Most important to me. And watching that gentleman eat that sandwich yesterday, that 2-fisted sandwich, and it was like, yes, he'll be back for sure.
Looking back to the integrity and that, I've often thought about.
That's part of the food, right? If you don't have to.
Yes, but I just wanted to say that, what I try to get across sometimes to the franchisees and employees, we're not necessarily in the food business. We're in the refrigeration business. If not properly refrigerated, I could kill you, and I don't particularly want to do that. So it turns into how important and the safety. See what I mean? That's below the surface.
But that's the food.
To
me, that's the
exactly,
food.
exactly. But we can't forget about, just focusing on just that sandwich without thinking about what built that sandwich and make it safe. So important to our customers. And I eat there. And so if I'm not willing to eat there, I don't feel it's safe, I'm not serving it.
You had a store in Scotts Valley, California. It was 600 square feet.
Yeah.
And you started growing up and growing out. So how did you start growing?
Well, we first of all reached out to the immediate merchants and stuff in the shopping center and got to know them, and they would refer customers to us. And, we just kept pounding away at that CQSI, consistency, quality, service, integrity, just keep pounding away. And you knew you could come there and not only get a great sandwich, but a safe sandwich or a nice bowl of soup. My parents would, you'd come in and...
I use the word wholesome. And I think that fits too.
Wholesome? Yeah, but wholesome's a pretty generic...
It's to me, that's safe.
Well, yeah, but I take it down one. That's a generic wholesome, it's like saying... I'll see you later. When's later? Okay. It's wholesome, healthy, organic. These are all general terms that sell products, so to speak. But, you get to the situation where you'd come in and say, I'll have a bowl of clam, or what are you going to have? And I'll say, well, try the clam chowder. I don't really particularly like clam chowder. I said, my dad made that yesterday. Really? Oh, yeah, it's so good. And so we started building the business, like the carrot cake. I still am a big seller of our carrot cake because that was my mom's recipe, and there's a whole story behind that. So you'd come in. I do that right now. I walk out the door, and people are walking in. I say, try the carrot cake. And they go, what? I said, yeah, my mom's recipe. They don't even know who I am in a way, but they get to know me. But my whole point is we were able to sell in a positive way this is real homemade. Because my parents were making the food. So that helped growing us and established my dad would say clams with real clam chowder. Clam chowder with real clams. Or the carrot cake, Judy and I, we used to crack up the nuts, the walnuts and give them to my mom. All that kind of stuff set a tone, set a way that we do business, Wholesome, if you want to call it that way, healthy, homemade, authentic, real, on and on and on. And that's how we started growing. People started appreciating that.
How did you start expanding your square footage? You moved to new locations around town. First you opened up your own stores, right? Family stores?
Yeah, what we did was we were able to take over the appliance store next to us. We went from 600 square feet, added 1,200. So now we're at 1,860 square feet.
Now you have room for the cafe.
Tables and chairs.
Tables and
chairs.
We
only had a couple of tables inside before and a couple outside, so now we could expand. And that's another thing. I stood in the middle of this building we're going from 600 square feet to 1,200 square feet. Is anybody going to come in? What's going to happen? And so two things happened. One, people started filling the restaurant because now they had a nice place to sit. And my dad came along and said, we got this big blank wall here. Why don't we reproduce the barn? And so we came up with the barnwood theme, the hayloft, and the branding irons. But it's more than just the decor. I wanted a place that people can come and relax and enjoy their food. Wow, my grandma used to have that, or my granddad used to have a farm. And so you just bring everybody down so they can enjoy their food. So it was not only just the look of the decor, it was the feel that we wanted to give our customers. So that, with the homemade aspect and the quality, it just... and you'd keep doing that over and over, and people were going to come back.
And then you start marketing. And one of the things you marketed was sandwiches with character. What does that mean? Brian?
Well, the way I've been told, and I agree with this, is, our sandwich with characters. Part of it is, I could go anywhere and get a turkey sandwich with avocado, and maybe not the sprouts, but I could, throw some lettuce on there.
Probably not the pickle either.
Yeah, not the pickle, but maybe the mayo, the tomatoes and the onions certainly. But I can only get a Pilgrim's Progress at Erik's Deli. And I think that sandwich character, Eric's secret goo, that component, certainly the clover sprouts and adds that character. And, we've continued that over the years, with the sandwich names, that we come up with, the team we have now, like our recent sandwich, the Gaucho Grinder, was behind the meat, Argentina type feel. We had a California crunch, a Dutch crunch with that avocado and that type. So we're always thinking of that. We're always reminded of that by Eric. But I think that's really it. That's what makes us, our sandwiches. You're not going to get a Pilgrim's Progress, elsewhere. You're not going to, and thoughts go into these sandwiches. These are sandwiches that are created by team members, by customers that we've had contests for, among our team, among our franchisees who are constantly thinking of ideas and that type of thing. So there's character between it. This isn't, we're sitting down looking at numbers necessarily. It's based on, the feel and look and the environment we've created at Eric's.
That's what I was going to say. The environment that you talked about when your father came in and said, ew, a white wall. Let's do something. Let's get character to this place. So kind of when you walk into an Eric's, you see all of these interesting wall decorations that take you back to a barn or to a country feel. And so you do have that character just when you walk right in the door.
Well, the sandwich, going back, it all adds up. There's all something driving at it, whether it's character or integrity or whatever it might be. But in the old days, back in the 70s, people would come in, you'd come in and say, I want a turkey sandwich with, jack cheese, and we'd put, our sprouts on it and tomatoes, onions. And so we got to thinking, well, that takes a long time to build that sandwich. Why don't we start giving him some names? And then, so
instead of ham sandwich,
somebody would come in the next day and they'd say, I don't know what to get you. You should try this Michael's sandwich. It's what is it? Turkey and jack cheese, really good. And we call it the Pilgrim's Progress. And so we started naming them. So what happens with that is we started naming, Pilgrim's Progress, the Almighty Special, REO Speedwagon, Marrakesh Express. It was usually something to do with the ingredient with the sandwich name. So it kept us in a sort of an area that we didn't get too carried away with the names. And so we said, it has to be some relationship with one of the ingredients and the names. So then what happens is it's a lot faster to build when you've got a name to it, Pilgrim's Progress. Sandwich maker knows exactly what that is, gives us uniqueness. And so in about late 70s, we had all these names, and an advertising company came in and said, you've got sandwiches with character. Because we're naming them after a lot of characters, Mountain Charlie, Cross-Eyed Charlie. We're just having a lot of fun. And they said, yeah, you've got some, but it gives you that uniqueness.
Have a story.
And it gives you internally, it gives you a faster way to make that sandwich, because a Pilgrim's Progress, you don't have to say turkey and jack cheese, all the names, write them all down. Pilgrim's Progress, and away you go. Operationally, it works really well. And the secret goo, too.
And the secret goo. Okay, what's in the secret goo?
I couldn't tell you, Michael. It won't be a secret. So here's the secret goo.
Of course not.
No, we were putting mustard, mayonnaise on all the sandwiches. You want mustard with your turkey sandwich? I don't know. You want mayonnaise with your... Let's just put them together. Literally, Francie was her name, said, let's just put them together. I'll put a secret ingredient in there so nobody will be able to tell what they are. So then a long time ago, Bethany Bible College was trying to break the code of the secret goo. So
you're going to have to hold the story because we have to go to a break.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned for the secret story of the secret goo at Erik's DeliCafe. Not going to hear it any other place but right here on the food chain. Michael Olson with Erick and Brian Johnson. They the owners and father-son owners of Erik's DeliCafe, serving the 7.6 million people of the San Francisco Bay region. So stay tuned. We will be right back.
How would you like to be part of a great mission?
You can help the Epoch Times fight for a free press.
America's news outlets no longer tell you the truth. In fact, 90% of the media is owned by just 6 corporations.
But honest traditional journalism isn't dead. You can find it in the pages of the Epoch Times. Go to readepoch.com and try it.
1 month for just $1.
When you do, you're supporting real news and helping us in the fight against fake news.
You'll read the truth about how China promotes communism inside the United States and why so many American companies hide the truth about China.
You'll read stories about American politics written without a political agenda.
It's journalism that you don't get from our dishonest legacy media and without the tyranny of big tech.
Be part of a great mission. Subscribe now, 1 month for $1 at readepoch.com. That's readepoch.com.
Life is short, and family is everything. Celebrate both with a Sunkissed family reunion. Hello, I'm Heather from Sunkissed Explorations. I will take care of all of the details for your family reunion vacation so you can have the time of your life.
Hello, I am Dennis. I enjoy getting the extended family together, which isn't easy. Heather with Sunkissed Explorations is able to take over the planning and execution of these trips, and everyone raves over the enjoyment and memories we make. I recommend her for any of your travel needs.
Celebrate life and family with a Sunkissed family reunion that will leave a lifetime of memories for everyone. I am Heather with Sunkissed Explorations, and I will take care of all of the details for you at no additional cost. Call or click sunkissedexplorations.com. sunkissedexplorations.com.
Now's the time to weed out next summer's aquatic weed problems with the help of Coastal Aquatics. Coastal Aquatics' specialized purpose-built workboats can rid your stream, pond, lake, or wetlands of next summer's weeds quickly and efficiently without chemical poisons that lead to toxic biomass buildups. Coastal Aquatics workboats operate in as little as 12 inches of water and can pull everything from duckweed to cattails out of the water by the roots. Coastal Aquatics can clear next summer's weeds out in less time, less effort, and the cleanup will last 5 times longer than with poisons. Think of your savings. Do not wait until it's too late. Send photos of your aquatic weed problems to coastal-aquatics.com for a free, no-obligation estimates. That's coastal-aquatics.com. Water weeds away.
So much to say, so little time to say it on the food chain with Michael Olson.
We are talking with the Johnsons, Erick and Brian, father-son owners and operators of Erik's DeliCafe. I think it's the only one. No, I did a global search for DeliCafe, and there's only one, Erik's DeliCafe, and there's only 2 deli cafes in the United States that I could find. So you really are something unique. Totally. If you're one of 2 in the United States, and the other one might be too small to even be one, I'm not sure. But you've built yours up into 28, going to be 29 locations throughout the South San Francisco, Monterey Bay areas. Lots of restaurants come and go. I haven't been in media for a long time. I've seen them come and go. And yours has not come and gone. It's here. And why?
Why? Good question.
Why?
You want to finish the secret goo first?
It's the secret goo.
Oh, that was a good lead in. All right. I knew you'd get back to that. Anyway, you want...
Sure.
Basically,
the secret goo.
So, we were sitting...
So there's some elements that make your Erik's DeliCafe a character-filled place to eat. There's the decorations of the stores themselves, the locations themselves. You walk in and you look around, and it's a comfortable place to sit. Whether you're by yourself or you're having a business lunch or whatever, it's comfortable. The food has certainly some really interesting elements, including the names of the sandwiches and whatnot. The fact that you use sprouts still after all these years, which I have come to appreciate immensely, as well as the pickle, which I have also come to appreciate, given its nutritional value to our digestive system. But the secret goo, what is the secret goo that holds Erik's DeliCafes together?
Well, it's turned out it's become kind of, iconic in a way as far as our sandwiches. But you get back to the good old days when people would come in and they'd say, I'll have a turkey sandwich. You want mustard mayonnaise with that? And I don't know if mustard goes with a turkey sandwich. And somebody wanted a pastrami sandwich. I don't know if mayonnaise. And so this lady, Francie, worked for us, managing the deli, and she said, Eric, you ask everybody that, and nobody can make up their mind. Let's just put them together, and we'll put a secret ingredient in there. And I said, okay, well, let's just call it Erik's Secret Goo for now. And of course, that's stayed with us for all these years. And then what happened was we had Bethany Bible College at the time, they're not there anymore. They had a contest to see if they could break the secret to the secret goo. And so my dad came along and said, I'm going to make it even more complicated. So he added a whole bunch of different ingredients, didn't change the flavor profile hardly at all. And so it ended up to be our secret goo. But it all started with just to kind of make it quicker for the customer. But also, there's only one place you get Erik's Secret Goo, and that's at Erik's DeliCafe. So once again, creates that uniqueness for us. Ooh.
That must be
someone's calling on there. He just let the secret out. We got a secret goo police. So
there you go. And then somebody's gonna call the police.
Yeah, we got Erik monitor on him. So.
Okay.
So anyway, that's the story behind that.
And good, because now when people see an Erik's DeliCafe, they're in San Francisco Bay Area, and they are asked, would we like the secret goo? Yeah, I'll try that secret goo.
Yeah, they can't do it at home. They got to come into our place.
So it has that provenance. It's a story that makes the character, I think, and you have a lot of character in your franchise. So let's talk about franchise. You have how many house-owned stores?
Okay, I'll answer that. We have, out of the soon-to-be 29, we have one that's company-owned. 2, we have, you'd say, up there in
Folsom. Yeah, we're a partner with
Folsom.
Folsom.
We're in partner with Folsom. And then the Scotts Valley one, we own outright.
Okay.
But I still got to pay, I still got to pay Brian franchise fees, though, because... So anyway, and that was... that was by design. In other words, and I think Brian can jump in after. If I can just give you a little history as far as we started franchising around 85, 86, because I knew we wanted to grow. I knew we were in the type of business, how important it was for the owner-operator to be there. And that we proved that with me being there and Judy being there, working it all the time, getting to know our customers. And so we made a decision that our growth would be predicated on franchising and not necessarily company-owned stores. And so you bring on somebody that is owner-operator. They're there. That's their living, their net profit, and to supply, for their expenses, whatever. And so that's worked out really well.
So all of your stores are locally owned stores?
Yeah, by individual, yes, basically.
For the most part.
Because people in the community, it's their stores, likely to be there, more likely to meet them as people met you through the years in the store. So I have 3 laws of the food chain. And the second law of the food chain is the farther you go from the source of your food, the less control you have over what's in your food. So if you can be close enough to your food to see the farmer and see the farmer's face and look into the farmer's eyes, you're going to be pretty assured that you're going to get some decent food. And the same is true in a restaurant. If the restaurant owner is there or his or her representative, you're close to the source of your food.
And so I call that kind of sphere of influence. In other words, how far do you get from your influence, whether it's us as a franchisor or them as a franchisee. And then you look at that whole, we created a central distribution system cooking it all ourselves, buying it all ourselves, and then distributing. Now we have Cisco that does all of our distribution, but those 3 commissaries that do our, except for the bread, they ship to Cisco, and then they go from there. So we have complete control in a positive way over that quality and that whole distribution system.
You're like, in a sense, similar to In-N-Out. Because In-N-Out Burger has central processing facilities, and they only expand as far as that they can reach with their central processing facilities. So, and that way they never have to sell frozen meats. All the meats are fresh and whatnot. So you have that same food quality mentality that keeps things close so that you can control them.
But you see how it started out to maintain control over our quality, our consistency, but it turned out to be beneficial from a financial standpoint. We can negotiate with one Cisco, all the delis, bring all that purchasing power in there, and it works out from a financial standpoint. See, that gets back to the CQSI. If you do CQSI, you're going to make a lot of money.
There you go.
You don't have to start out doing that. You don't focus in. See, that's the other thing is, we've never chased the dollar. We've chased the CQSI, and the dollars have resulted from that. And I think that's very dangerous when you start chasing that dollar. But I'm getting off subject a little bit as far as the...
Kind of Buddhist.
Try to what?
It's kind of Buddhist.
Kind of, okay, well, good. I did learn something from that, my trip.
All right, Brian, you're now the franchise guy, right? You're bringing the world of franchise in a much bigger way to Erik's DeliCafe. How do you do that?
Oh, well, I think, first you don't grow just to grow. I think that's something admirable, about Erik's. I think what we've created, yes, a lot of people have asked 52 years, 28, why not more? And that hasn't been the focus. And I think, as we, grow as a brand or kind of the next generation, what I'm very proud of in our growth is, we look elsewhere is our existing team members, our existing franchisees, and really have seen our growth that way. And we're trying to focus on is with team members that have been working at Erik's for a number of years, if we could partner with them to get them their own store and kind of continue that legacy that I would say started in the 80s with, Timmy at Watsonville, a franchisee is still with us, Rick over in Redwood City, that type of thing where they've been with us, and that generation is continuing, to this day. SoCal Drive is Greg Newman, born and raised in Santa Cruz from Harbor High School, used to work for us, now owns DeliCafe. So that's really where I'm looking, for our growth. There's certainly the other part, the external partners.
You're looking for team members. You're not looking for franchisees.
Yeah, a combo of both. We're trying to find that, I think, middle ground is, the health of a company that, as things change, we do need to, continue to look at new sites. But there's a passion within me, and I think our team is within the Erik's ecosystem. And yes, those team members that become partners that maybe just need that help. And that's what we've done up in Folsom. That's what we're looking to do in Elk Grove. And in San Francisco is a gentleman's named Manny. It's his third store, but same thing. San Jose downtown was his first, and he's kind of grown from there.
So he's an inner city guy.
Yeah, he's trying it. Yeah, he's great. Been working with him for 15 plus years and that type. So I'm really proud of that kind of our growth. We haven't just done it to done it, and that's nothing against brands that choose to grow that way, but it's the way I envision our growth is to hopefully maintain that culture and what we have and that CQSI and not chasing the dollar. But it's a lot of work. It takes some time, but there's a passion there. And I think it'd be great for our team members and continue that legacy, because I think that's the Erik's from the franchisee. I really see that as a legacy is people that used to work at Erik's now own their own. And if we can, continue that.
And let me jump in for a minute. Do you see what you're saying there? We're proud of setting up our people that have worked for us into their own business. That's part of our legacy. That's how we started. We took the original company-owned stores and we started franchising them to people that basically work for us. So we're proud of that, establishing businesses for people. So
and you have the CQSI, you have the system. So it's actually a great opportunity for somebody who wants to follow your system to just plug and play almost, so they don't have to reinvent Well, the wheel, as it were, it's ready you're ready to go.
It is, and I would add to that in a positive too. Like, for our franchisees, it's a partnership, and we bounce ideas off too. So there are systems in place, which is just to set you up. But going back to that California Crunch, that was a franchisee, and we're very proud of that. I think that system of but yeah, the systems are in place, and I think you have the right attitude, the passion. We're here for you, so we're very proud of that.
Some franchise restaurants go for the venture capital funds. They get an idea going like Ford Garage, and we're going to have Ford garages in every city in America, and they get a lot of money and start popping them up. But for some reason, they don't seem to last all that long. And I don't know how you can maintain control when there's a lot of them and one in every city. And how do you maintain control of that?
I think that's, no knock of the brands that, haven't made it. But I think I would say from an outsider, that's kind of that chasing that dollar. And, it's to chase the dollar, open more stores. Yay. I can point to that. But are they successful? Are they going to be there in 5 to 10 years? Are they going to be there in, and proud to say our stores have open, have stayed around. So I think that's the real challenge. I think but also what I value about Erik's and what we've created is it's, not just open. And
so is it affordable? Can I go out and buy an Erik's Deli?
If you're ready to work, yeah.
Ready.
If you got the attitude and willing to put in that time, yes, it's certainly, we've met that.
So do people have to fill out an application? You must want to get to know people.
Yes. So a couple processes with that. If new individuals coming in, there's a meet and greet and go through existing team members, that type of thing. We'll work with them over the the years, and a lot of that is more just the financial and what we can do to provide them. But it's very much, I believe, and I think this is a testament to Erik, everyone else that been with Erik since '73 that I'm kind of the shoulders on, is everything's in place. So if you have that passion and that desire for food, being part of your community, to hard work, I think the sky's the limit. You can be very successful, and that's what's been established before me.
And it's the systems and procedures that we've established over the years, the trials and tribulations that we've been through, and so you buy into that. Why wouldn't you franchise? You don't have to go through all that, and we have all these training programs and systems and procedures, and we're still here, banging away, making sure it's.
And then you can benefit from the name recognition built up by all of the other Erik's Deli Cafes as well. Then you benefit from all of the work that all of the other Erik's Deli Cafes have done in building the brand. So that there's tremendous value in that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there's an Erik's Deli Cafe. I know what they do. So you have something there that's
definitely
extremely valuable. The most important thing that keeps you going, what is it?
I guess 3 or 4 years ago, I would have said, my family, I think the desire to keep the legacy going. I'm, a father of a 2-year-old. So I'm going to say, Anthony, my daughter, and of course, Naomi, my wife, and that family that I've been able to have and support through Erik's. But I think that's, but I think it's also just keeping honoring the legacy and the culture of Erik's Deli, and what that's mean is the next generation, I guess.
Good for you.
Kind of steps into place, but yeah.
And you got a 3rd generation coming along too.
Yes, we do. Yeah, she is. We'll get into the delis yet, but she's,
all right.
She's there.
Well, there it is. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the story, the provenance of Erik's Deli Cafe. You see an Erik's Deli, stop by, ask for a sandwich of your choice, and try the secret goo. It'll grow on you. From that, we're going to thank Erick and Brian Johnson, Erik's Deli Cafe, for joining us today. I've been eating there forever. How's that for a testament? Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the award-winning Food Chain Radio Show with Michael Olson. And if your friends missed the show, tell them to log on the Food Chain page at metrofarm.com for a listen. Now, go out and find some food with its farmer's face on it and live.